Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's WWE Money in the Bank 2022, and it happened on July 2nd, and it just finished. Wow, what an event! I thought it was great. I like the new format that WWE has with their pay per views. It's got no pre show matches. You can skip the pre show if you want, but I took a few notes on a couple things, but just having me watch the pre-show. You can skip them from now on. There's no pre-show matches. There's just like this one in particular had nothing but Money in the Bank and a couple title matches, but not every title was on the line. 7 matches, with 2 of them being ladder matches, was the perfect amount. The show ended at about 11:10 Eastern time, so it went about 3 hours 10 minutes. Perfect length. It had ups, it had downs, it had some spots where they purposely slowed the crowd down so that they could bring them back up later. That was the longest match of the night and potentially the match of the night. We'll definitely get into that. I'm kind of want to make this a no spoiler edition. So a lot of podcasts will start with, yeah, this guy won and she won and this happened, but um just in case you haven't even watched the show and you're just going to listen to the review instead, I'll leave it no spoilers and we'll just go through it as we go. So but overall, it was a great show. Lots of ups and downs, like I said, lots of twists and turns, a couple surprises, and a couple things we figured would happen. But it looks like everything's set up. Should be a pretty good SummerSlam. We'll see how that shakes up. With right now, I think it was JD from New York put it best that right now SummerSlam kind of seems like night 3 of WrestleMania. We're getting like Logan Paul and Pat McAfee and Brock Lesnar all back in big matches, and we'll see how the rest of the card shakes up. Let's just kind of get into it. I talk about a lot of things as we go, and this is Money in the Bank. I watched a little bit of pre-show, but I did miss the first 15 minutes, so I'm not sure if anything happened there. And I wasn't taking notes on everything that happened, just anything that might have been funny or just little quips. So um, we haven't seen a pre-show match in a while, and so these pre-shows are definitely skippable from the regular people. I just wanted to take a few notes. So Booker T says Carmella can pull out Ghetto Fabulous in a heartbeat and when you're talking about the Raw title match. And JBL's the only one to pick Carmella to win. Always the contrary in JBL. We hear Kayla say, I'm sorry, after we already went to a video package. That was pretty funny. The panel then is making, when they go to the Street Profits versus Usos preview, the panel's making fun of Kayla for asking about if there's trouble in paradise to the Street Profits last night, and that really weird Ask Anything segment. Then the Street Profits do show up to the pre-show panel, so this is the only thing I took notes on big time. But Montez is all fired up as usual and gets right up on the table, and all of a sudden you see like Kayla go from like happy face to like real serious face. And I think Kayla was getting yelled at in her earpiece because all of a sudden Kayla goes, "Oh, Montez, get off the table. We don't want it to break." Like all serious and stuff. But so Montez gets off the table and he's showing some amazing charisma as usual. Montez talks about how they will win tonight, but then Angelo only talks about how they're going to party once they win. So there's your feel potentially for a Montez heel turn. I know at every given moment they keep reminding us, like, or not reminding us, but they keep pushing this narrative that there's trouble in paradise, blah, blah, blah. And now Angelo here saying, he like Montez was talking about how they're gonna win and stuff like that, but Angelo was only talking about the after party once they won. So there's a little feel to maybe a potential Montez heel turn for him to go after, something for him to say. Anyway, um, Angelo confirms what we already know. He said Booker told him earlier that he needs to detox, or like early in Angelo Dawkins' career in NXT, he asked Booker T for advice, and Booker T told him that he needs to detox himself from everything that from before this very moment. So that confirms how we already knew that WWE really wants everyone to act like the same way, the WWE way, and that's why they've gone from they don't want to sign indie talent, people that have been in the business for like 4 or 5 years. They don't want that, because it's in WWE's mind, it's much harder to change habits than it is to teach someone new the WWE way. And that's what WWE wants, but that's bad for the fans because then it just makes everybody the same, and that's never good. Anyway, In the video hyping Lashley and Theory's match, which we do get to see later on, but I do take a note that there's a quick like montage or a collage of all the selfies Theory's taken ever since he's gotten on Raw, and that looks super cool. So you probably saw that on the actual pay-per-view. Then JBL's the only one to pick Natty as well, so just the contrarian JBL over here doing his usual shtick. We get a nice little training montage for Riddle now. And man, this should have been on SmackDown. It's only about a minute long. We see Riddle training and stuff, running through the streets and doing some other stuff. And then he wants to remind people about his nickname in MMA was Deep Waters. And that means that he had the stamina to last in the deep waters, quote unquote, deep waters of a match, or the deep waters meaning like when the match goes really long and you're at the um in the deep water. Riddle had the stamina to outlast that over other people. So this video for sure should have been on SmackDown. It's only a minute long. I don't know why they didn't put it on SmackDown, because it was great, and I'm sure nobody saw it here on the pre-show. Booker T then says if Riddle wins the title, he would be the first barefoot world champion. And hello, the Anawahi family would like to have a word with you about a certain Yokozuna, because there's no way that you couldn't say the original WWE title wasn't a world title if we're gonna say that like the Universal title is a world title and there's a WWE title at the same time. So Booker definitely throwing shade at Yokozuna a little bit, forgetting that he was the first barefoot world champion. But anyway, like I said, there's no pre-show matches. That's everything I had from the pre-show. Nothing happens. That means you from now on, the fans know that they can skip the pre-shows from now on. So let's just get it right into the show. I'm going to take a drink and we're going to start the pay-per-view. So we're live from Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Arena. Remember, it was originally supposed to be in the stadium where the Las Vegas Raiders now play, but they were having trouble selling tickets. There was an unfortunate thing where they had sold like, I don't know, 19,000 tickets, but then when they switched over to the arena only held like 16,000. So there was probably 3,000 people that had originally bought tickets and then couldn't get into this show. Unfortunate for them, but I understand WWE didn't want to fill like a quarter or 30% of a giant stadium, and then they would have to pay for it and lose money and look bad. So I understand why they did it, but it's unfortunate for some of those fans. And we start the actual pay-per-view off with a video package about the whole event. It was pretty cool. It was Vegas themed, and they tell us in Vegas you need greed and luck. And then a bunch of CGI fireworks happen where like the fireworks spell out something or show something. So it spells out a few of the names like Ronda and Natalya. Then we see a firework of a ladder, and we see a bunch of briefcase wins and cash-ins, like all the famous ones, but withholding anybody they wouldn't want to show, maybe like CM Punk and stuff. Then there's fireworks of the world titles, and we see a bunch of highlights from past Money in the Bank ladder matches. So really good video to hype us up. At the very end, the fireworks show 2 briefcases, and then we go to the arena. Pyro kicks off the event, and everybody's hyped. This is a really good crowd, and there's ladders all over the entranceway. And it looks like they show a close-up of the white briefcase, and that looks like the women's ladder match will start the night. That's a great move, because there's 2 women's title matches later on, but Roman isn't here, so it makes complete sense that you would end the night with the men's ladder match, which is what happened. And then you have the women's briefcase on the first match, and then you have 2 women's title matches later on that now there's added drama because there's someone that just won a briefcase in the house. So we're told that it is normal rules. The contract will be valid for a full year. You can wait up until a year, July 2nd of next year, or maybe the 1st. I don't know how that works. But then Becky's music hits, and we're going to kick off this match. She's got a wild headpiece on with some weird shoulder pads and like a black veiled dress. Pretty cool look. Crowd's going wild. Mostly cheers for Becky. And yes, throughout this match, the crowd did want Becky to win more than anybody else, which is kind of contrarian to a lot of people, maybe online or whatever, that are like, oh, I'm sick of Becky, blah, blah, blah. Me personally, I mean, I wasn't, Becky wasn't my first choice to win, but nowhere near, she was in the bottom half of people I would have wanted to win. So she was definitely the crowd's choice to win this match. Becky was. So second out is Asuka. She's got a parasol and dances to the ring. And then they show us a little recap of the ending of the 2020 ladder match that Asuka won, and then they say quote unquote beat, then cashed in the next night on Becky, but that was just Becky handing over the title, going on maternity leave while being pregnant. So, but hey, look, there's Nia Jax in the little recap there. Liv is out next, and I always think when her music starts that it's Alexa, like Alexa's music, every single time. But Becky's gear I note is green and gold, just like a green Power Rangers kind of look. It definitely looked like she was going for the green Power Ranger. Becky was. Raquel's out. I think Liv was wearing green as well. Raquel comes out next, and the softening of Raquel continues. She's and her LED boards and her new outfit are her gear is pink, and she smiles her way to the ring. So little by little, they try to like soften Raquel to the point where she's nowhere near close to the person we learned about in NXT. Um, then when the creepiest moment of the night happens, because Lacey Evans comes out and she's got a giant creepy CGI version of herself. Oh hey, what's up? I hope you enjoyed the show. And but yeah, a giant creepy version of Lacey Evans here with like doing a pose, but that face is gonna give me nightmares for the like at least a month. And if I have to see it every single week, the nightmares are never gonna go away. So that was terrible. We see a lot of new CGI things tonight, and some of them were creepy, but nothing was as creepy as this Lacey Evans one. So she comes out to the ring, and I think I write my notes here that I think WWE might pull the trigger on a Lacey Evans win. I really hope not, but I could see them doing it, especially with it being like 4th of July weekend and stuff. But the crowd's kind of booing Lacey, and they do boo Lacey throughout this. So the crowd definitely wouldn't have liked that, even though she's a face, quote unquote, or we don't even really know. But she's the one I want to win the least. Lacey Evans is, and then the women I want to win the most comes out next. Shotzi, so she's got on some glasses and a red outfit instead of a normal green outfit, even though the whole theme of Money in the Bank is green. So that was a little weird. She's still got her green hair though, and Alexa's out next, and she's got a creepy CGI giant Lily doll next to her when she comes out, but still not as creepy as the Lacey Evans. That was way more scary. Alexa annoyingly sings her theme song as she walks to the ring. So here we go. That's everybody. The crowd's going wild even before the bell rings, and this looks like it might be a good one. So let me get a drink. A lot happens. Holy crap. So much happens in this women's ladder match. So here we go. Right as the bell rings, Lacey and Alexa bail out of the ring and go get ladders. Everyone except Asuka and Becky joins them. Sadly, no Bailey tonight. Spoiler alert. Becky slides in to baseball slides Lacey to keep her out of the ring, and then her and Asuka go back to fighting. Asuka hits a couple big combos and a spinning back fist, and then is also keeping people from entering the ring so that Asuka and Becky can just fight. Shotzi then slides a ladder in the ring. Asuka goes to grab it, but Becky hits Asuka from behind. And the crowd is chanting big time for Becky. So the crowd's favorite here is Becky Lynch. I did not see that coming. Come to think of it, I was trying to figure out who the crowd favorite was in the men's money match. I think it was Riddle, but it might have been Drew. But I think Riddle had the advantage with the crowd's reactions. Anyway, Asuka dodges a ladder shot and then slams Becky onto a ladder. Raquel now with a big boot to Asuka, then lifts the ladder with Becky and Liv laying across it. Didn't look great, but then she drops it, and that was supposed to like it did kind of look painful when they all fell onto the ladder, Liv and Becky. Liv and then takes out Shotzi with the ladder as well. Raquel does. Becky and Liv then double team on Raquel, so a little teamwork here. But Raquel double suplexes both of them onto another ladder. So Raquel's just going crazy here at the beginning. Raquel now drags Shotzi in, but Shotzi dodges a ladder shot and then crossbodies Alexa right off of one of the wedge ladders. So things are just going crazy already at the beginning of this match. Raquel then gets crushed with the ladder to take out Raquel. Then Shotzi tries to go running up the leaning ladder like Shelton Benjamin style, but like almost right away slips and falls. And this is not the first botch. I mean, this is the first botch, but this is not the last botch of this match, and not even the last botch from Shotzi. So We've seen her before kind of do crazy things in NXT ladder matches, but also had botching things during that as well. And holy crap, by the end of this, Shotzi looks like she had been in a car accident. I'm not even like exaggerating whatsoever. Anyway, where was I? So Shotzi falls while trying to do the Shelton Benjamin spot. Luckily the camera angle was kind of bad, so it didn't look like the worst in the world. Lacey then crushes Liv on the ladder. Then Lacey and Asuka end up on the ladder. Becky crushes 5 people at once with a splash. That was pretty sick. Like they were all like being stacked up on the leaning ladder all at once, and then Becky did a big splash. Really sick. Alexa out of nowhere hits a Molly go round, and really amazing match so far, and it hasn't even been going on for that long. I mean, you can't even say that botch ruins anything because there's so much craziness going on. Alexa, and like I said, the camera angle on the botch really didn't even show it that well. Alexa then sets up a ladder to climb, but Raquel grabs Alexa. Alexa fights back with a ton of strikes here, fighting for her life against the much larger Raquel. Alexa then hits a super botched looking head scissors. When it comes to head scissors, you never know who to blame because it could be the person who's like getting it taken to them, but I don't know what happened here. But another botch right after that last one. But Raquel sends herself into a ladder basically because the head scissors was so botched. Asuka then hits a German on Alexa. Asuka blocks a Shotzi suplex, but then Shotzi blocks back. And Shotzi ends up getting hip tossed after Alexa by Asuka right into a hip toss into the ladder. First of many, many hard shots that Shotzi has to take throughout this match. Lacey now meets Asuka up on the ladder, but Becky tips this over. So there's just nonstop action here. Alexa and Lacey land on their feet from that ladder shot, though. Lacey takes them both out. Crowd's booing heavily, so they do not want Lacey Evans to win, and I love it because I didn't like her whole like. I get maybe you tell us your whole sad story 1 or 2 weeks, but 5 weeks of it straight, and I know that's not her decision, that's WWE's, but how's that anyway? And then they have the whole like, everybody get off your feet and show the proper respect to Lacey Evans, and the crowd's like, what? But anyway, Shotzi gets big cheers when she stops Lacey from getting the briefcase. Shotzi's now the first one to touch the briefcase, but Lacey hits the women's right while they're both on the ladder. Shotzi crumples to the ground. Another huge shot or a bump by Shotzi. And now it looks like Lacey is going to win like early here, but the other women all now climb the ladder and they all touch it at some point. So this is crazy spot where they're all just on ladders, multiple ladders. Then there's a sunset flip power bomb by Liv to Lacey. That was one of the best moves of the match. And I forgot about that one until I'm reading it here in my notes. That was a great move. The announcers say Raquel had a chance at one point right after that sunset flip power bomb to grab the briefcase, but she didn't. So that's kind of weird that they would. I didn't see that myself. So there's really no point for them to bury Raquel on that, saying Raquel was stupid, especially when they're really trying to push Raquel as a babyface. So kind of unnecessary by the announcers there. I was playing as close attention as possible, and I never noticed that Raquel had a chance to get the briefcase and didn't go for it. Anyway, Shotzi knocks Raquel off, and then Alexa's climbing, and then there's another major botch. So a third botch of the match. Shotzi has Alexa up on her shoulders, and I have no idea what they were trying to do, but all of a sudden, Shotzi loses her balance. Again, Alexa's on her shoulders. There's a ladder standing up behind them, and they crash right into I say they, but it was mostly just Alexa Bliss's back, maybe the back of her head, but mostly her back, I think, and shoulders, and falls right into that ladder, and it crumples the ladder, the main one that they're trying to use for the rest of the match. And this affects the rest of the match, making the ladder super crickety and unstable. So I don't think this was supposed to happen. It ended up being one of the biggest bumps of the match, and hopefully Alexa's all right, because I don't know, I don't think Alexa did a ton after that. We'll have to see how much she does, but a major botch there. And Alexa screams in pain and just rolls out of the ring. And like I said, it bent the ladder like almost in half, and they're trying to climb it still throughout the rest of the match. So Becky's trying to climb it and can barely even get up it. Shotzi now gets back up, pulls Becky off the ladder. The ladder barely is able to stand on its own when nobody's on it, which is pretty crazy. I don't know why they didn't just switch out a new one. I think they maybe do later on once we have like our eye off the ball and like the action goes to the outside. So maybe that's just what they're waiting for, but it was a little dangerous here. And Shotzi then places Becky on a ladder, but misses a senton off the top rope. And that was probably the bump of the night. Shotzi landed like back of the head first onto that ladder while trying to do a senton and just like kind of like not full force, but clipped it. And it looked nasty. There's another bump later that might rival it, but Shotzi got really beat up tonight. Asuka's in now and she's looking to win it, but Raquel stops her. Now the ladder falls. Raquel hits a lariat on Asuka. Then Raquel puts a ladder across the announce table and the ring apron. Another ladder falls while Raquel's trying to move that ladder and it hits her in the face. Another small botch, but still kind of funny on that one. Asuka fights back, but Raquel lifts up Asuka while standing on the announce table. So they're on the announce table and she looks like she's trying to hit the Tejano bomb or whatever it's called now on Asuka onto that ladder that's wedged between the ring apron and the announce table, but instead Asuka counters out of it and locks in a triangle choke on Raquel. Raquel's able to power out, but then Becky kicks them and Asuka ends up laying across the ladder. So then Becky sees Asuka on the ladder, like laying across that ladder, and she climbs a giant ladder that happens to be up on the outside. And then Becky hits a really good, this is the other biggest bump in the match. Becky hits a senton and bounces off of Asuka. The ladder barely gave an inch. It might have gave like a single inch, but not much. And both women are down in pain. Asuka and Becky are just screaming in pain at this point. Looked pretty nasty. We're getting towards the end of the match now. And Shotzi must be concussed, but she's back up. She looks like she's been in a car accident. And all the women are up except Asuka and Becky, who just had that big bump. They've got 3 ladders set up in the ring, and Becky's on the middle one, so she pushes the other 2 down. But Becky climbs to go win, but I don't think Liv was part of that group that got pushed off. So Liv climbs a smaller ladder now, and this is the big grand finale here, and I'll give it to Liv. I'm not Liv's biggest fan. I know Liv has a lot of fans out there, but Liv with under the biggest pressure of her entire career. The ladder gets pushed over by Becky. Liv is able to perfectly put her foot on the rope and balance the ladder back up very perfectly. This could have gone very botched and it would have ruined the entire ending. But nope, I can't hate on Liv because she did this perfectly, and that's a hard move to maneuver. And of course, Liv then throws out Becky and wins the briefcase after that big grand finale ending. So props to Liv for hitting that ending. Congrats for the briefcase win. At least it wasn't Lacey Evans. That's all I really cared about. Anybody else I was fine with. Shotzi probably I would have liked the most, but this was pretty great and the great ending. And like I said, balancing that ladder is super hard so that you don't botch that entire move. If you botch that, the entire ending's botched. So not only is it super tough to pull off, but Liv has all the pressure in the freaking world where she knows if she botches that spot, they might have even wrote in a backup plan that if Liv botches that spot, Becky just grabs the briefcase. Because what's Becky supposed to do at that point? I mean, you could throw someone up like a Raquel, quickly go grab Becky and keep fighting so that we can get Liv the briefcase in like a minute's time. So Liv had all the pressure on the world. I literally think if Liv botches that, then they just let Becky win. And I'm sure that was like told. Liv was probably told that before this match started, that if you botch this ending, Becky's just going to go up and grab the briefcase if you botch it. Talk about pressure, bro. All of a sudden, this match is real. This match is no longer scripted. If I F this up, I don't get the briefcase. Now, I could be lying, but I mean, not lying, but not being correct. But in my mind of minds, what happens if Liv botches that? And what are the odds that she does? Maybe 60% she pulls it off and 40% she doesn't. So maybe it's a little bit less, 20% that she doesn't pull that off, but that's still a 20% chance that WWE might have already told Liv, if you botch this, we're giving it to Becky. So props to Liv for pulling that off. Great ending to a great match. Even though there was 3 or 4 botches, it kind of only enhanced it enhanced the match and the brutality of it all, especially the one where Alexa got really hurt, I think. So hopefully Alexa's fine and just not fine, you know what I mean? She might not be able to get out of bed in the morning, but um nothing like a major injury. So props to all the women in that match. And like I said, it looked like Shotzi was in a car accident. The last image we see before we go to something else is Becky ugly screaming and yelling, like almost going into full Gollum mode. So we'll see where this story goes. A lot of the rumors are that it's going to be um Becky at SummerSlam in a title shot. So we'll see if she can somehow get there, or is just Becky gonna have a complete meltdown. If you remember on SmackDown, it was super awkward. Like Michael Cole acted like he's never acted before in his entire career on commentary, and was basically acting like Becky's therapist or like her dad, who like really cared about her and was really concerned about her mental health. And that couldn't be a coincidence. So I was thinking maybe Becky was going to win tonight, but since she didn't, this is going to be good for the story that Becky is going to go into a downward spiral. Who knows what's going to happen? If I had to guess, maybe Becky goes on a rampage, just like attacking everybody tomorrow night, backstage, during matches, wherever you look. Becky's taking someone else out. Maybe that's what I would do, and just send her into complete like um psycho mode where she's just like violent. That's maybe what I would do, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'm definitely intrigued, and that's all you can ask for. So let me get a drink. But next is the U.S. title match, and this was another good one. And the crowd helped with everything tonight. The crowd really helped with everything tonight. So props to the Las Vegas crowd. Probably a lot of people from out of town, not to put down the Las Vegas locals, but on the 4th of July weekend, it seems like Vegas would be a good hangout for people from all across the country. So it seemed like there was a lot of hardcore fans. It was almost like a Chicago crowd tonight, to be honest. So yeah, the next is we get that same hype video that we saw in the pre-show, but I'm glad they showed it here again so that more people were make if you missed it, try and watch this hype video again. They show a collage of every selfie that Theory has taken on his victims since he's been on Raw, and that ended up being like 40 different selfies at least. So those were pretty cool to see all at once, like in this hype video. Otherwise, it was your typical stuff, and I don't even know what outcome I want out of this match. I like Theory. I like what they've been doing with Theory. I like Theory as a wrestler and a person. I really like what Lashley's been doing. Lashley's been getting huge responses. Remember the response he got at Hell in the Cell? Other than Cody, nobody was louder, or I mean, nobody got louder cheers than Lashley at Hell in the Cell. And it's a real shame that Roman just so happened to take the Raw title away from Raw, because we could have been having like Lashley or Riddle as Raw champion, because both of them are getting huge cheers right now. So I didn't really know what I wanted out of this match, but then when Theory comes out, I think did Theory come out first? Anyway, he shouldn't have if he was champion, but Theory comes out to some of the biggest boos of the night and some of the biggest boos he's ever gotten in his career. So I'm like, I write in my notes, that means they're about to blow the roof off the place for Lashley, which means Lashley did come out second. Why did the champion come out first? Anyway, I also know that this makes me kind of want Theory to win this match now, because the crowd is booing him so much that it would just be funny and stuff, because I kind of some people like to watch the world burn and that's way more entertaining sometimes. um and they already got the live win just before this, so I was thinking, just get Theory the win. But like I was saying, it'll be interesting, because like with the US title, is it gonna Riddle hasn't really elevated the title, has he? As much as I like, not Riddle, but Theory. As much as I like Theory, like, has he elevated the U.S. title whatsoever? And it's not always his fault. Like, it's the booking of WWE too. But Maybe, just maybe, since there's no Raw title right now, no WWE title on Raw, giving Lashley the title here would be a good move. So I was unsure of what I even wanted. But like I said, when Theory came out and got those boos, I kind of wanted Theory to win. So we'll see how this goes. Big cheers, like I predicted, for Lashley. Theory's got some new gear. It's like black, red, and silver. Lashley's in his black and reds that he's been wearing a lot. So Theory trash talks and poses right at the bell rings. And I'm pretty excited for this match either way. I was interested to see how it played out. So here we go. We get a Bobby chant right away from the crowd, and Lashley's able to overpower Theory right away. Surprise, surprise. So then, surprise, surprise, Theory bails the ring. Kind of predictable stuff here, but why wouldn't he? We get a "Let's Go Bobby" chant at this point. The crowd's loving Bobby Lashley. So Theory gets in and immediately eats a massive spine buster from Lashley. So Lashley's going for the spear already, looking to end it, but Theory bails the ring. Lashley goes outside, hits a lariat. Theory then blocks a shot to the ring post and hits Lashley into the ring post. You know how WWE loves to have, anytime there's a slightly bigger guy than a smaller guy, that bigger guy is going to have to crash into the ring post at some point and quote unquote take himself out. But this was more of a not really take himself out like usual. This was Theory throwing him in there. Then throws Lashley into the barricade. Theory does, and we get a huge Theory sucks chant. So this crowd does not like Theory whatsoever. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe I do want Theory to win this title match just for the crowd reaction. So Theory uses his agility to evade, showing off really good agility. We all know Theory has some good agility, but then gets caught on Lashley's shoulders. Lashley kind of buckles to a knee at one point while having Theory on the shoulders. And right after all the botches in the women's match, I'm like, oh no, is this pay-per-view cursed with botches? But no, it wasn't too bad. Lashley's able to deadlift right back up to his feet, which was pretty cool. And hits one of the loudest ring shot posts I've ever heard. He hit Theory into the ring post. You know how it's like LED boards now, so it's like it actually makes a really loud noise. That was pretty insane. Theory's in trouble already, so he gets back when they're back in the ring. Lashley's going for a spear, but Theory just kind of gets on the ground and goes into a fetal position, like already giving up on life. Lashley goes over to grab him, but Theory's able to take control now with like cheating moves, or at least baited him in. Theory now gets a big punch and gets a 1 count off of that. I don't even know why he covered. This makes Theory mad, which now he wears down Lashley with some strikes. Theory goes and trying to do his amazing, if you remember, you might have seen it before, where he leaps up in one fell swoop and tries to do a Spanish fly off the middle rope. But Bobby Lashley's able to block this. But Theory maintains control right after that, hitting more strikes. Now Theory works over the chin lock, and the crowd, this is the crowd's like cue to rally. The crowd chants Bobby, and then Lashley gets to his feet, but Theory throws him right back down to the ground. So I'm like, wow, like they're actually letting Theory stand toe to toe at least a little bit. You could say he might have got a thumb to the eye or something to get control, but like putting in the chin lock and then throwing him back down, that's like showing that Theory's on at least a little bit on Lashley's level. So I like seeing that as out of this as a Theory fan. And Theory's hitting more strikes. Still got that chin lock in, so the crowd rallies again, and Theory's or Lashley gets back to his feet, but again Theory takes him down and yells, "All day! I can keep this in all day." The crowd's really chanting, "Let's go, Bobby!" now, and Theory was able to, or Lashley's able to get out, but Theory is just sweating everywhere. I noticed he might not be used to his new muscle mass, so that might be something to look into, is the stamina in this match, because Lashley's been the same size that he is right now for almost 20 years, and Theory's kind of bulked up in the meantime in a short year span or whatever. So Theory's just sweating everywhere. Lashley then finally gets out and fires up with some strikes and a suplex, and full steam into the corner with a spear on the into the corner on Theory twice. And we get Bobby Lashley chants throughout the arena. Theory then blocks a suplex and rolls out of the ring back to his bailing strategy. But this match is really heating up. Theory tries to do one of those flipping rolls like into the ring, and I don't know what move he was going to try off of that, but Lashley just catches him and he goes the power slam Theory, but Theory's able to kick out of that power slam, so it was hit. But this is the one where now Theory uses his agility to get out of a dominator attempt by Lashley. Theory then tries to roll like that flip roll thing again, and succeeds with a drop kick. So really great match here. Theory then goes for the A-Town down, his finisher, where they have the fireman's carry onto the knee, but Lashley counters this into a cradle pin, and then Theory kicks out and immediately rakes the eyes of Lashley. So showing that again, cheating. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like Theory's gonna win, right? So nope, the A-Town down is countered right into a hurt lock. Not even 5 seconds later, Theory taps out. We've got a new U.S. champion. Wow, it is Bobby Lashley. Here we go. So just like I said at the beginning of the match, they did make Theory look pretty good, even though he lost. He was able to kind of hang with Lashley. Sure, he had to cheat here and there and bail the ring here and there, but I mean, they did make it look like he was like almost as strong as Lashley and stuff like that, and more agile. So I think it's not every loss you have to a star makes you like better or more of a star, but I think in this case they did it well, and I think Theory comes out of this match looking pretty good, despite losing. Meanwhile, Lashley, he's bleeding from the mouth, and they're even kind of talking about it on commentary, like, oh, he might be really hurt. It was weird that they were even saying that, because it just looked like he might have had a cut in the mouth or like bit his tongue or had a tooth knocked loose, which let me tell you, these wrestlers unfortunately like lose teeth like maybe every 6 months they lose a tooth. It happens all the freaking time. So I don't think it was anything that, but the announcers are going crazy about it. But anyway, like I said, now that with no Raw title, no world title on Raw, we've now got Lashley, who's getting some of the biggest cheers other than Riddle on Raw. So we'll see if he can elevate this title. Hopefully they treat this title like a big deal and Lashley comes out in a suit again. I miss suit Lashley. Lashley always looks like a bigger superstar when he's wearing those like $10,000 custom fit suits and stuff. So I don't think you have to be a heel to wear suits, bro. Come on. So I want to see Lashley in a suit, maybe even a pimp cane, looking dapper. Maybe bring the girls back. Remember when Lashley had all the girls around him? You can do that stuff and be a face and just be like, hey, I'm the champion. Like, who's next? Kind of deal. Not like Goldberg, but you know what I mean. So hopefully they do something like that, but I wouldn't hold my breath. It might just be relegated to the status it's always been. But good match overall. We're 2 matches in, pretty good stuff. This crowd's been pretty hyped. So we go to the back. Liv Morgan is still crying, and that last match wasn't short. So she's just crying her eyes out. Sarah, the announcer woman, says, Liv, what are your plans for the cash in? So Liv is crying completely through her promo and says that she needs to plan it out well. She doesn't want to screw up this chance. This might be my only shot. And the segment ends. So I write down here, I wonder if we'll see Liv again tonight. And I wouldn't mind seeing her take the title off of Ronda. So stay tuned for that. But next is the Raw Women's title match. So this is match 1 of 2 where we could potentially see a cash in. And I love that we had it would have been a huge mistake not to have the women's Raw Money in the Bank match first. So here we go, Raw Women's title match, and it pretty much seemed like it was maybe going to be Becky and Bianca again at SummerSlam. So that was kind of the rumors. So we'll see if that happens. But there's still going to be a place for that Rhea Ripley versus Bianca match. So don't forget, this match was supposed to be Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, and they were going to even have, it looked like there was going to be Finn Balor and Damian Priest, part of the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley, like being involved in this storyline somehow. So unfortunately, in the number 1 contendership match where Rhea Ripley won the number 1 contendership, she awkwardly landed. Her foot hit the rope. It ricocheted back and hit her jaw. She had to go get major dental surgery and suffered a concussion on the same freaking move. Talk about a freak accident. So Rhea hasn't wrestled since then. I don't think so. And she's taken out of this match, unfortunately. So, they put in Carmella. I don't mind it per se. It's a fresh matchup, even though they did absolutely nothing to build Carmella up whatsoever. We had only seen her like maybe twice since some WrestleMania, and last time we saw her, she was planning something with R-Truth about winning the 24/7 title. But here we are, next woman up. Rhea Ripley's down. We got a lot of the women in the briefcase match, and we need a fresh matchup. So Carmella, you're in, and pretty much it seems like all WWE thinks they need to do is they bring people up from NXT, maybe give them a few titles here and there, maybe win a briefcase here and there, and then they can put them on the back burner. And anytime they need them, they can just be like, "Oh yeah, the former two-time champion, and they won Money in the Bank." And meanwhile, they haven't done anything in 2 years, and they've done nothing to build them up. But WWE just has those people on the roster, like a Dolph Ziggler. If any time they need someone for something, they could be bring Dolph Ziggler up to that program and say like, "Oh yeah, yeah." We haven't, even though Dolph hasn't done anything recently, they could be like, "Oh, Dolph, yeah, he's former champion. He cashed in before." So same thing here with Carmella. I get it. It works per se. That way you don't have to build. You can't have everyone built up at once, but WWE's terrible at having at least like you need to have at least, I don't know, 8 people on each roster built up for the men and maybe 4 for the women on each one. But in the meantime, SmackDown only has like 8 women or whatever. So anyway, this isn't SmackDown, but you know what I'm saying. So let's see if Carmella has a good match here, and I write down this could be a career resurgence, and this might be her last chance to prove that she is a good wrestler, Carmella. So, especially in the fact that I think she has a job for life, as far as like Corey Graves seems to be being good with WWE, and through her association with Corey Graves seems to be like. And like I said, they want people like a Dolph Ziggler to stick around for 20 years. So they, anytime they need someone, they can be like, "Oh yeah, former champion, won Money in the Bank." So, just because of all that, maybe it's a career resurgence. Maybe it's her last chance to prove that Carmella can be taken serious. I was a little bit excited for this match, even though there's really no drama on who's going to win the actual match. But don't forget, we do have Liv Morgan with a briefcase now. So that adds a little bit of drama. Carmella comes out with some great looking money gear, but it actually, it's like exactly looks like she's wearing lingerie. So that was interesting. And Carmella doesn't I love that she doesn't wear that stupid mask anymore. Speaking of creepy, like that mask was so creepy, it gave me nightmares, but it's still not as creepy as that CGI Lacey. Let me put over that. Nothing is more creepy than the CGI Lacey Evans. Bianca looks great in her purple outfit. It's like a bunch of different shades of purple with a little bit of pink in there. She's looking like $1,000,000. Carmella's basically wearing lingerie, like I said. We get an EST chant from the crowd right away. They're really in the Bianca. As the match starts, Carmella ducks and dodges around and then pulls Bianca down by her hairs. So I write, well, you know what that means? Carmella's probably getting whipped tonight. And spoiler alert, Carmella never gets whipped. So maybe that'll be on Raw or something. But from what we've heard in the past with Bianca, she says, I never use my hair unless you pull it or stuff like that. So um, maybe Carmella was going to get her whipping at some other point. But I was looking forward to that. And once she was using the hair to pull her down, Bianca then takes it to Carmella right after that, of course. But Carmella pie faces Bianca and starts talking some trash. So Carmella isn't backing down here and tries a head scissors, but Bianca blocks it with her power and just slams Carmella down. Carmella then bails the ring, just like the last match. Here we go. So Bianca hits a nasty looking shoulder tackle, one of the biggest moves of this match. While on the outside, Carmella was trying to duck and dodge. Bianca just nails her with that shoulder tackle. Carmella hits the mat on the outside hard. So Carmella's able to use some dirty tactics to get back in control and hits an elbow in the corner. The crowd's booing this big time. Carmella hits like a Bronco Buster type move, but not like over and over, just one big one, and then kind of awkwardly falls to the mat. It's not a good looking move whatsoever. Take that out of your repertoire. But that only gets her 1 count. Carmella then locks in a chicken wing, but Bianca counters that into a pin. So Carmella then blocks a scoop slam and pulls Bianca to the ground by the hair again. So again, twice Carmella used Bianca's hair and never got whipped tonight. So hopefully we see that on Raw because I like to see a good whipping. Oh god, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean. That's it, that the sound that makes is just insane. It's louder than a Gunter chop or a Walter chop. Anyway, Bianca's now fired up because again, you just pulled my hair. So she uses a big boot to take down Carmella, then huge strikes and a get this deadlift delayed, marching around while delayed suplex by Bianca. Just deadlifted Carmella up, starts marching around the ring while she's up. That was insane. Bianca's just showing off in this match now, and I loved every second of it. I wish Bianca would always act this much show off. I don't care that she's a baby face. Just have her show off all the time because that's what she's great at. So Bianca's now hitting punches in the corner, and then just like the show off I've been saying, Bianca backflips on. So she hits the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the 10th punch. She backflips off and then hits Carmella with the punch. So Bianca was just going crazy in this match. Great stuff. Uh, Carmella then dodges a spear, but Bianca crashes into the ring post. So what was I saying earlier? Oh, if you're slightly bigger or you're the stronger person, you always got to get a ring post shot at some point. Carmella tries 2 roll-ups after this and a super kick, but Bianca kicks out of all 3. Carmella's now talking trash and slapping Bianca. Of course, this just fires up Bianca. She punches and it's 1 punch, and then one of the most massive delayed up in the air kiss of death KODs that I've ever seen, and destroys Carmella. The ref could have counted to 10, but all he needed was the 1, 2, 3. Retaining her Raw Women's title is Bianca Belair. And I quickly know it would be a terrible move for Liv to cash in now. Bianca's up here all mad and barely got attacked in that match. So right as I'm writing that, just to add a little bit of drama, Carmella now attacks Bianca after the match. So here we go. Liv has her first decision to make. But Carmella only attacks Bianca for like 10, 15 seconds and then leaves. So still would be a very bad idea for Liv to cash in now. But the crowd is definitely booing Carmella out of the building for that attack on Bianca after the match. So I could see that leading to more matches with Carmella, maybe a rematch, because of the heat that Carmella was getting. She was getting booed out of the building. Great crowd tonight. This crowd, props to everyone in the crowd. And Carmella never got whipped, like I said. So hopefully we see that on Raw. It looks like this feud's not quite over. And smartly, Liv Morgan does not come out because Bianca, if this was the video game, she still had like 70% of her health. Bianca did, even after that post-match beatdown. Maybe it only went down to 65. Still not enough to cash in. So all night long, they've been plugging SummerSlam super heavy. And now they show us Logan Paul, if you didn't hear, signed with WWE, and he was training in a ring as well. The crowd's booing this heavily in the background because they're showing it in the arena as well. Then we get a recap of Miz talking about Logan Paul on Raw, and then all the stuff about Logan Paul signing. Then Logan says that he doesn't want anything to do with Miz, but then he says, I want to fight Miz at SummerSlam. So which is it, Logan? But here we go. Like, I don't know if I want to get into this now, but I wouldn't ring the alarms that we're about to have like David Arquette as world champion, and meaning like Logan Paul as champion fighting at WrestleMania against Bad Bunny for the title. I don't think we're at that point now. That could be the point we're in like 10 years when Disney owns WWE and they have like Darth Vader versus Yoda in the main event of WrestleMania. But until that time happens, I wouldn't panic. Anyway, apparently that's another match at SummerSlam. It's going to be Logan Paul versus Miz. Logan did show himself. He showed some pretty good stuff in the ring during that match at WrestleMania, but he's also kind of a scumbag in real life. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, okay, I forgot about this segment. This was almost like a fever dream, bro. So we're told earlier today. So I don't know why they had to throw the earlier today in there. Apparently because Alexa would be too beaten up from the ladder match to have done it now. So we say earlier today in the back, Alexa has her own locker room. So here we go. Inside the locker room is like there's stuff everywhere, and Lily's sitting there, and Alexa's talking to Lily. And I'm like, oh wow, so are we finally going to get some kind of story with Alexa here? Because Alexa's had the most boring character ever since she's come back with the stand-up, shut up music. Like, what is Alexa's character? All we know is that if Lily's there, she's not evil, and if Lily's not there, she's evil. But other than that, they haven't fleshed out any story for Alexa whatsoever. All she is just this boring girl that sings her own music on the way to the ring and has a Lily doll. So and so here we go. I'm like, are we like randomly on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view where it says earlier today, are we finally fleshing out Alexa's story? No. The answer is no, because Alexa asks, "Oh, where did all this come from, Lily?" And Lily tells Alexa that it was from the WWE Visa card, a credit card. So wow, it's just an ad. I thought we were gonna flesh out her story, but silly me. Why would we write stories for people? Anyway, Alexa's only role on the roster right now is to sell more Lily dolls and other random merchandise. So wow, just wow. Let's just move quickly on. Holy crap, I need to drink. This is the longest match of the night and maybe potentially the match of the night and a new contender for top 10 matches of the year potentially. This is a good one. So we go right from that terrible Lily ad and the Usos music hits. The crowd gets pretty loud. It's mostly boos from the crowd. And the Usos now have creepy CGI versions of themselves holding up the ones, but still not as creepy as the CGI Lacey. Nothing could be. And the Usos have some new gray and red gear. And I wish they would have went red and blue to match their red and blue belts. But what are you gonna do? We got Pat McAfee on commentary now, and Corey and Cole are also there since Raw and SmackDown people are represented here. Jimmy Uso gets a microphone when they get to the ring and says the Usos feel lucky tonight here in Vegas, and let's bet on the bloodline. Let's put all the money down on the bloodline. That gets big boos from the crowd, and this is the most boos I've heard the Usos get in a while. This crowd that was not a big Uso fan, but we find out throughout this match, there's like definitely a big portion of the crowd that was bloodline fans, and it was pretty good back and forth between who they wanted to win this match. And this match ends up going long. This is a long match and it ends up being great. So let's get into it. Um Street Profits out next. Not totally massive cheers. They have maroon, white, and gold gear on. Looks pretty good. The Profits, instead of walking down the ramp, they walk through the crowd and they hype up the crowd even more by doing that. And then on the announced again, they bring up Kayla asking if the Street Profits are on the same page like Kayla asked on SmackDown. So WWE just can't be subtle about anything they do. They just have to tell us like, oh, these guys are kind of having trouble. Don't you think they might be having trouble? Meanwhile, we haven't seen any evidence of the Street Profits not getting along. But now WWE has told us 3 different times in a 2-day span, oh, maybe the Street Profits aren't getting along. So we know the Street Profits time is coming to an end because WWE can't be subtle with anything. Anyway, when they get in the ring, the red versus the maroon is a definite color clash on the eyes, but I think my eyes adjusted after this long match. I didn't mind anymore. Anyway, Jimmy gets the first shot in and throws up the ones with Jay, and here we go. This is a long match. Angelo drops down and locks in a headlock. Angelo really had a great night tonight. Angelo Dawkins then shows off some great agility for his size to gain control. Montez now tags in and looks to hit the frog splash early. He's trying to end it early, but Jimmy bails out of the ring. And this starts a theme throughout the night of Montez doing crotch chops. This gets the crowd to yell, suck it, about 10 times. Really funny. Now Jay's in with Montez, and there's just some kind of chant for Pat McAfee. I don't know what they were chanting, though. And it was one of the loudest chants of the night. Pat McAfee's completely over. I think you could get you could have Pat McAfee beat Roman Reigns for the titles at this point, and the crowd's not going to boo it. They're going to cheer it, and Pat's probably going to have good promos out of it too. And I'm not saying to do it, but I wouldn't mind it. Anyway, Montez hits a huge drop kick, just showing off his vertical leap, and then flips up and tells Jimmy to suck it again, who's on the apron. So I don't know what was up with Montez with these suckets tonight, but it was pretty funny. And it was really pissing off the Usos, which made it even more funny. Angelo now tags in and they hit a double team move on Jay for a 2 count. Angelo's now talking trash to Jay and while striking Jay. And a blind tag by Jimmy is able to counter Angelo into a double team. So Jimmy dives to the outside on the Dawkins, right into the barricade. They go crashing. And again, the crowd chants for Pat McAfee, but I think that's the last time they chant for Pat. Kind of awkward, though, especially with these two guys going crazy in the match right here. Double suplex on the outside into the ring post, and Pat McAfee really put this over. It's like, I've never seen anything like that. So Angelo's reeling now. He just got double suplex into a ring post by the Usos. Back in the ring, Jay's now talking even more trash to Angelo. The trash talk tonight, not just this match, but Ronda versus Natalya had a ton of trash talk as well, and I just love all that trash talk. It makes it seem more like a real fight. There was a lot of swearing too. They just didn't have any F's to give. Angelo hits 2 punches, but a Jay uppercut just floors Angelo to the ground. Great uppercut by Jay. And Jay stocks Angelo now and hits a spear into the corner. He's slows the pace down. Jay tags in to Jimmy, and they hit a forearm. Jimmy mocking Angelo, like, "Oh, can you make the tag? Can you make the tag?" And we get a cheap shot from the outside from Jay to Angelo. Now they're just getting all kinds of heat and boos from the crowd at this point. We get mounted punches on Angelo by Jimmy. The crowd's just booing the Usos out of the building. Jimmy's now mocking Montez Ford's chants, like his dances. Really good heel stuff here from the Usos. Angelo now counters and Jimmy, and finally gets the hot tag to Montez. Jay also comes in. Montez with a leap off the top right into a Jey Uso super kick. So Montez's hot tag got cut off within seconds, and Montez is just barely able to kick out of that. That looked amazing. Not quite as good as, like, nothing will be ever as good as Shelton Benjamin getting kicked midair by Shawn Michaels, but definitely harken back to that. Anyway, Montez just barely kicks out of that. Jay yet again slows the pace down and is just wearing down Montez methodically at this point, slowly, and talking trash the whole time. We get another cheap shot from Jimmy from the outside. The crowd's now quiet. They've slowed the pace down, but this was all for a reason, because this match goes long. So when you have a long match, you want the middle section to be kind of a lull before you start slowly building back up. And by the end, the crowd's just gonna go crazy, because they even had like a little break in the almost like a break. So usually you'll have the heels beating up the faces during that break. Otherwise, the crowd's gonna be like, "Yeah, beat them up more." In this case, they're not even like booing as much, because it lasted like a long time where the Usos were just beating up the Street Profits. But it really worked in the favor of this match because of the length. By the end, I think they got like twice as big of a reaction at the end than they would have if they didn't do this long, boring spot in the middle. So a lot of it's like psychology and stuff like that. Like, um, tricking the crowd into being even louder than they would have been, kind of deal. So we're getting a lot of that, and we get a tag in the J, and they hit a really nice looking wishbone where you like spread the legs apart, like make a wish, and this gets the crowd to wake up and boo a little bit. Jay hits a ton of strikes now, and now he's yelling to Montez, "Who's sucking it now? Beep!" Like he's swearing and just all this stuff. Like, it's hilarious. Jay now hits a super kick on Angelo, who was just chilling on the apron trying to get tagged in. Now instead of rallying behind the Street Profits, we get a dueling chant. Let's go Usos. Usos suck. That was interesting. That's very interesting. Montez then tries to fire up, but gets cut down by Jimmy. Usos then super heel and aggressive tonight. Just what is this all leading up to? Like, what major face tag team are they going to fight at SummerSlam that they need this much heat? But maybe it was just, like I said, for the psychology to get the bigger reaction later on. But wow, Usos acting super heel tonight, way more than they have been. And that was definitely interesting. Montez then, but it makes you think, who's the big face team that they're about to fight? Are they about to? Don't tell me it's the New Day again, bro. I mean, I don't mind those matches, but how many have we seen? Anyway, Montez finally turns it around with a suplex to Jimmy on the apron, and Angelo gets the hot tag this time. Let's see if it works better than Montez's did. And the crowd didn't make any noise for the tag to Dawkins until Dawkins flips, dives to the outside on the both Usos. So now Dawkins going wild with some great offense, great hot tag here. The pace is quickened. The crowd gets a little more awake now. We get a few chants for Dawkins, but then the crowd goes quiet again. on the outside. Dawkins hits a big time shoulder tackle, both shoulders on an Uso each. That looked great. Jimmy's able to counter now, but gets destroyed by a double team. And it was like a spear tackle, like a bam by Montez into a suplex by Montez. So I meant it was Dawkins on the spear tackle. Somehow Jimmy kicks out of this. That was one of the best moves of the match. Now the crowd's chanting, "This is awesome." They're a little more awake than they were after that little lull in the middle. Montez back in, and Jimmy gets a tag to Jay. Montez goes up top and they hit a double team doomsday blockbuster. So up on the shoulders of Dawkins, Montez hits a blockbuster. That looked great. Somehow Jay kicks out of this and the crowd boos it heavily. So now they're kind of getting more into the Street Profits. We get a striking exchange now between Angelo and Jay, and they both take big shots while talking trash. A lot of trash talking. Love it. Jay then hits an enziguri to win this little exchange. But Dawkins doesn't necessarily go down. He punches Jimmy on the apron, but Jimmy saves Jay from a double team move. Then we get a double super kick on Montez, kick out by Montez. The crowd's going crazy now. They're really loud. They thought it might have been over, but they love that Montez kicked out. And Cole says, "We might have an hour Broadway," which means like a draw, an hour time limit draw, which I didn't know WWE ever mentioned that they had time limits in their matches anymore. We never hear about them, but apparently a title match is an hour long, according to Cole. Montez then counters a 1D attempt, which is the same as the 3D if you don't know. And he counters that with a Hurricane Rana, which looked great, and then throws both of them out with ease. And then probably one of the moments of the night, Montez takes a big running start, front flips with ease. Apparently, I would die trying this, but Montez just front flips over the ring post to the outside on the both Usos. Looked amazing. Back in the ring now, we got a spine buster on Jay by Dawkins, immediately followed by a Montez frog splash. I thought that was it. The cameraman or the camera angle was great on this one. You don't even see Jimmy come in just to barely break up the count. I thought that was it. The crowd boos big time. They thought it was it too. We've got all four in the ring. They're standing up, staring each other down. The crowd gives them a standing ovation at this time. So see why you do that little bit of lull in the middle. It gives you a twice as big reaction later on if everything goes to plan anyway. So they can start a wild brawl now that they've all squared up. Jimmy hits a super kick on Dawkins, but Jay hit a super kick on Dawkins, but Jimmy blind tags in. Double kick to Montez. 1D on Montez. 1, 2, 3. See how they did that? See how right when the crowd went and their apex and their climax of the loudest after this half-hour match, they just instantly kill it dead. So I don't know what the Usos are about to do, but they were getting so much heel heat, they were getting so much booze that it really made like what tag team is going to be like such a big deal that they wanted the Usos to have this much booze. So really interesting. And I'm totally interested to see who they fight at SummerSlam. So hopefully we don't have to wait too long to find that out. SummerSlam is only 4 weeks away. Don't forget it's actually at the end of July this year instead of being in August like every year. Oh yeah, I didn't get this yet, Chester, but holy crap. This is what I was about to talk about. Do WWE have instant replay? They do not. They do not change any results based on anything after the final referee decision. And yes, what Chester is talking about here is immediately after the match, we get a replay, and it was even acknowledged that the Street Profits watched this replay on the big screen, and the crowd saw it and they booed. And what showed on the replay is Montez Ford not only kicked out before the 3 count, his shoulder never went down, period, on the pinfall. So, wow, big boos from the crowd, even more. They were already booing from the result, but when they see this replay, huge boos from the crowd. And like I said, WWE does not have instant replay rules like VAR or anything like that, like throw the challenge flag or anything. So Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins look completely deflated, more so than they would have been just by losing fairly. So we'll see where they go with this. Maybe this just means we're gonna have a SummerSlam rematch. That would be a shame because this match was so good that I don't think they can top it, unless they want to go like TLC route or ladder match route or something crazy like that. Maybe a Hell in the Cell, but we just had Money in the Bank with ladder matches. We just had Hell in the Cell with Hell in the Cell matches. So I don't know what they're gonna do. And like I said earlier, it seems like they keep bringing up this 3 or 4 times in a 2-day span now. Oh, the Street Profits, are they having trouble? Oh, are they getting along? Is there trouble in paradise? So it seems like, well, what the heck? I don't I don't think there's trouble in paradise. Nothing has ever shown that they don't get along. So, but I did note in the pre-show that Montez was focused about the match, where Angelo was a little bit more focused on the after party after they won, while Montez was focusing on the win. So, um, I kind of wanted a decisive win tonight. This is not decisive whatsoever because of the instant replay, and the Street Profits are complaining in the ring, and then their music awkwardly plays like as if they won, but they're just really mad in the ring instead, and that was awkward. So an interesting twist to this really long match. Like I said, I wanted a decisive win, but especially after all the singles. Remember how the singles matches? There was like 4 singles matches between the Profits and the Usos the last three weeks. So I kind of wanted a decisive win there. Damn. So we'll see where it goes from there. I don't know. Now, one of the weirdest moments in the night when you're done with this review, and if you didn't notice or see this, go look it up on YouTube. I'm sure it's up there on WWE's page. We see a super creepy video. I don't even know how to describe it. We just see like a bunch of crosses and weird stuff. It's almost like Bray Wyatt. I don't want to get everyone's freaking hopes up because I don't think it's Bray Wyatt, but it was kind of like Bray Wyatt type stuff. We see like crosses and weird things, and then uh we know that it was like supposed to be there because then Cole and Pat McAfee are like, what was that? What the heck was that? And then they never talk about it again. So it was super creepy, but it was one of those things where they show you like they flashed like 100 images in like a 20-second span. So if you wanted to like get your detective goggles on and try and figure out what the heck is this? Who could this be? Is it Bray Wyatt? Is it the Undertaker or whoever? Like, so I have no idea, but I've only seen it the one time, and then I came in on here to do the review. So I'll study it as well. I'll let you know on the Raw review if I found anything. But next is the SmackDown Women's match, and we go straight from that crazy last match to this match was surprisingly great and surprisingly vicious, and also featured a lot of trash talk, just like the last match. So there's a lot of cursing and stuff in this match. I loved it. First, they show the recap video, the same one they did on the pre-show and on SmackDown. So I took a little. I'm like, oh, not this again. So I looked on Twitter, and it was Liv Morgan and Montez Ford that were trending the most. So people were going crazy for Liv and Montez in particular tonight, or at least at this point. Then Natalya comes out. She's got heart-shaped glasses or like sunglasses, and she gives the sunglasses to a child in the crowd, exactly like Bret Hart used to do. And it is Bret Hart's birthday today, so happy birthday, Bret Hart. And Natalya kind of looks like someone else tonight. Her hair's a little bit different. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Maybe Dana Brooke. Maybe her hair was more Dana Brooke than Natty tonight. But she looked good either way. Definitely a little bit of booze when Ronda came out, but I was interested. I was like, oh, this should be interesting. And the thought of Ronda getting booed out of the building never even crossed my mind. But no, Ronda doesn't get booed out of the building. There's just a few fans that were booing her, but not huge cheers either, really. Natty's wearing like green, gold, pink, and black tonight. Ronda's wearing like black with like kind of rainbowy purple, red, yellow, blue accents and eye makeup. Cole calls Pat Corey, which really makes Pat mad. That was funny. And then Cole reminds us that Natty helped train Ronda in pro wrestling right when Ronda started her first run a few years ago, like 3 years ago. So Ronda gets the advantage right away, but Natty goes to the ropes. So instead of bailing like Austin Theory did and stuff, Natty's just going to the ropes anytime she gets a little bit in trouble. Natty here is looking really great, I noticed at this point. They do some catch can wrestling, which is indeed my favorite style of wrestling. So I loved the beginning of this match. Love, love, love. And Natty gets an ankle lock right away on Ronda really early in the match. So that was a little surprising. But Ronda, of course, escapes, puts an ankle lock of her own on, and Natty gets out and but ends up right back in another ankle lock from Ronda. So pretty crazy start to this match. And this ends up like I like this match all the way through. Really, it was surprising. Natty gets out, but ends up back in that ankle lock, like I said. Then gets to the ropes, and Ronda's now talking trash and calls her a beep. So a lot of trash talk tonight. Natty yells at Pat when she's on the outside. That was hilarious. She's like, "Shut up, Pat." That was hilarious. Natty then gets to the ropes again and slaps Ronda. Then Natty cusses Ronda out. So wow, they're showing some like hatred and aggression here. Natty cusses again and mounts some punches. So really good trash talk throughout the night. Always makes everything better. The crowd booing, so I guess they are rooting for Ronda after all. Natty poses for the crowd and then slaps Ronda again. We get a snapmare into a sleeper hold by Natty. The crowd's trying to rally behind Ronda a little bit here. And Ronda was about to get out, so Natty just throws Ronda to the ground. I'm loving this match so far. Super physical, full of hatred. They're just showing that, like, even if it wasn't real, they're just showing that they hate each other, and it was great. Natty tries a springboard something, like put her off springboard off the move, like maybe a suplex, but Ronda just transitions this into a judo throw. But Natty's able to hold on and turns it right into a abdominal stretch. So that was pretty cool looking. Ronda rolls through for an armbar, but Natty escapes right away, then hits a clothesline. Great counter wrestling and catch can and submission stuff. All my favorite kind of stuff. Along with the trash talking, I couldn't ask for more. Ronda then makes her comeback with a couple clotheslines where she rolls through after. Natty's screaming in pain off of after a takedown. That looks like she got hurt on that one. Ronda connects with a knee right after that and then rolls through and picks up Natty for the Piper's Pit, but Natty's able to reverse it and into a roll up, but then locks a armbar on Ronda of all things. But Ronda knows how to get out of an armbar. She locks her fingers to prevent getting held and then gets out. So Ronda locks in a sharpshooter on Natty. It wasn't a great looking sharpshooter, and when Natty reaches out to grab the ropes, Ronda just falls over on her butt. So not a great look there. And we're finding out more and more. Remember all the sharpshooters we saw at Double or Nothing? Nobody could do the sharpshooter good there either. So apparently the sharpshooter is a lot harder to pull off than we ever thought. And I guess we should have known that. Like, Brett's amazing. But Ronda then locks in oh wait, no, she's got that sharpshooter in, and then Natty gets to the ropes. So Natty slaps Ronda for a third time, and this thing's just breaking down with hatred. Ronda's about to lock in the armbar again, but Natty kicks her away, and now this is the big moment of the match. So I think it's like, I don't think it was real, but because it played into every single story. So I knew immediately when this moment happened, I knew what the next like 10-15 minutes was going to entail, and I was exactly right. And you might have guessed it as well. So when Natty kicks Ronda off of this move, Ronda tweaks her knee and goes down in pain, holding her knee. This is when the announcers, I think for the first time ever, tell us that, oh yeah, Ronda's had like multiple surgeries on that knee, and it looks like she tweaked it. So you know what that means. I never once thought Natty was going to win this match, but I did think something else was going to happen. So stick around. So yeah, tweaks the surgically repaired knee that we're just now told about. Natty locks in a sharpshooter, but it's on the apron, and she's like hanging Ronda off the edge. That looked really good. But Ronda rolls through and sends Natty back of the head first into the ring post. So we got a lot of big ring post shots tonight, and that looked nasty. So Natty gets back in the ring, and right before the 9, like on the 9 count before the 10, and Ronda's limping badly. Ronda can't put any weight on her leg, and she tries to lift Natty for the Piper's Pit, but it's too much. But she is able to transition that into an armbar. Natty reverses that into a sharpshooter, but then Ronda turns that into an ankle lock. So really good submission wrestling here. Ronda's knee is too weak, and Natty then tries for a sharpshooter, but Ronda traps the arm and has like a choke hold with the calves while in armbar. on a standing natty while Ronda's on her back, if you can picture that, if you didn't see it. And this armbar / chokehold with the calves is enough to force Natty to tap out. So Ronda can't even stand. You know what that means. Cue the Liv Morgan music. You know it's happening. And I'm excited because I have not liked Ronda's return to wrestling. And let's see if Liv. I was like, oh God. I could definitely see them having Ronda just win. And they teased us with it. So Liv Morgan comes running out. She sprints to the ring. Thankfully, she didn't do the Titus World slide because that would have been ridiculous, especially after she got through the terribly tough balancing act on the ladder earlier. For her to do the Titus World slide would have been the worst. But she gets in the ring. Liv Morgan cashes in the briefcase. And right on cue, Ronda immediately locks an ankle lock on Liv. So I'm like, oh my God, would they do that to Liv? Would they do that to all of Liv's fans and give them hope for only like an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most? Would they do that? No, Liv is able to get out, and it's not much longer. This match does not go. The second match does not go long, and it's just a simple roll up right after hitting the bad knee. Liv hits the bad knee, rolls up Ronda, 1, 2, 3, and the crowd goes nuts. They loved that Liv won. And remember earlier when they wanted Becky to win, but they didn't boo whatsoever when Liv was the actual winner. They didn't boo her at all. Like Becky was the one they wanted for sure, but they were completely fine with Liv winning. And then I think it was like at least 98-99% of every person in the building cheered Liv on this cash in. So great stuff there. And like I said earlier, I wonder if we'll never find out, but I wonder if they told Liv, if you botch that getting the ladder back up with your foot spot, we're just gonna have Becky win. So I wonder if that happens. So talk about pressure on Liv. Liv wins the SmackDown's world title, women's title, which I wish it was just called like the world title. Anyway, there's a little bit of a botch. I don't think Liv Morgan's gonna mind. I don't think anybody like that would be offended would mind, but a little bit of a botch here from the announcer woman. She goes, and new, and then there's a giant pause. She didn't know what to say, and then SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan. So she definitely was a little flustered on, is this the Raw title? Is this the SmackDown title? And sometimes on these cash-ins and stuff, they don't tell people like the ring announcer. So the ring announcer woman, I forget her name, unfortunately. I apologize for that, but she probably didn't know that Liv was going to cash in the briefcase. So anybody that gives her crap, I would say don't give her crap. Don't tweet her. Don't be like, how could you dare ruin Liv's moment? Because I guarantee you Liv is going to just laugh it off. You know, you guys know Liv's personality. We got some. Oh, here we go. I forgot I didn't look at this one. So the only reason Montez shoulders are up because of how Usos had him locked in the pin. Yeah, I thought it seemed like that was so weird. You didn't like Natty versus Ronda? I really loved the aggression in that match and the trash talking alone. They're just cussing each other out and stuff like that. But it was a little bit telegraphed as soon as Ronda tweaked her knee, and then the announcers were like, "Oh, she had multiple surgeries to repair that knee." You knew exactly that Liv Morgan was going to win the title at that very moment. So it was a little bit anticlimactic in that sense, but still really, really great moment here for Liv. We'll see where it goes from here. This does mean that Liv transfers over to SmackDown now, and SmackDown desperately needs people. So you also know what this means. Hopefully, Liv doesn't lose her title at SummerSlam to Charlotte, because I can see Charlotte coming back as early as this week and being like, "I want my title back." So we've got Charlotte maybe in the um on deck for Liv. You know, Ronda's maybe going to want her title back, but maybe they'll have Ronda sit out for a month or two with her knee. But I'm pretty sure they want Ronda to be at the stadium show. They're all hands on deck for that stadium show, SummerSlam. So maybe we'll see Ronda, maybe not at SummerSlam, but you've got Liv on SmackDown now, and don't forget, not only is Charlotte on her way back really soon, but Bayley Bayley's ready at any moment. So we don't know if Bayley's going to go to Raw or SmackDown, but that's another potential heel for Liv to fight. So Liv's got all kinds of heels over on SmackDown that might want to take her out, like Charlotte and maybe Bayley. So I don't know where they're going to go, but really good stuff. And Cole really puts this over at the end here by saying, yeah, when Liv Morgan first came up to me, she even uses her real name and says, Liv came up to me and said, hi, I'm Gianna, and one day I'm going to be SmackDown Women's Champion, which I don't know if that's true. As far as I didn't even know if it depends when Michael Cole met Liv Morgan for the first time, which he it might have been. But if it's 8 years ago when Liv first got here, there was no SmackDown Women's title 8 years ago. Anyway, great stuff, and we're not even done yet. We've got the main event to come, but first they show a really long hype video for Brock Lesnar and Roman, last man standing at SummerSlam, and don't forget that's only 4 weeks away. That's July 30th or something like that. So exactly from the tonight when Money in the Bank happened, it was 28 days away. So that's not far away at all. But we're going to be getting all kinds of things happening on Raw and SmackDown, even this week. So let me get a quick drink. I was hyped, sir. I mean, I didn't go into that. The guy that didn't like the Natty. Like, I didn't go into the Natty Ronda match thinking it was going to be any good, but I really liked it because they were just like cussing each other out and like hitting each other really hard. And like, I like that. I like that a lot. So, what did you guys think of this main event? This main event was pretty good. Almost no botches throughout this entire men's ladder match after all the botches in the women's one. I thought this capped off the event really good, regardless of who you wanted to win. I thought it was a really good match. So let's get into it. And I did say there was some surprises at the beginning, so this is where you get your surprises. So stay tuned for that if you didn't watch it. Riddle comes out first, massive cheers. His gear kind of seems like a size too small. I don't know why, but Riddle's just getting everywhere Riddle goes, he gets big cheers. So I wish Riddle was like the Raw WWE champion right now. But I guess it makes sense that Roman has both titles. It just makes like the final boss even a bigger deal for whoever does beat Roman. Anyway, Seth comes out second. He's wearing an absolutely gorgeous Ric Flair type robe. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, is that a Ric Flair type robe? Yes, it was. And it looked like his pants matched it pretty well. On Seth's way to the ring, they show a recap of Seth cashing in at WrestleMania 31. Since that's what Seth said he already wanted to do, he wants to cash in at SummerSlam when it's Brock and Roman again. Omos is the third one out, and he's got some new gear as well. He's got like gold accents and a little bit bigger chain than usual. MVP hypes up Omos and then leaves. I was wondering if we'd ever see MVP again, but nope. That was the last we ever saw of MVP getting himself a paycheck for 5 seconds of on-screen work. It's a living. It's a living. Madcap Moss out next. Definitely the biggest match of Madcap Moss's career. And I was a little worried. Madcap Moss, I know like he was still kind of early in his career, but I'll never forget Madcap Moss for injuring Kenta in NXT. Remember the whole they had to explain it with like, oh, Kenta got attacked in the parking lot, and that's one of the NXT mysteries that was never solved. We just assume it's Kevin Owens, but and speaking of Kevin Owens, I think Kevin Owens was supposed to be in this match, but I think he got injured before. Remember, it was supposed to be Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel on Raw, and then they're like, "Oh, this match will have to be rescheduled." Oh, so here, kind of, it was good and bad. So I'm guessing good the match, but bad the result is what you mean. But Madcap Moss, I was a little scared that he might injure someone in this match, but no, Madcap Moss seemed to do fine. And if anything, Madcap Moss looked like he was the one that took one of the biggest shots of the night. So, which is what you got to do when you're young. You can't have the old guys be doing that. Anyway, Sami's out next. A definite mix of cheers and boos, and it seems like exactly the same as the Usos. So I'm pretty sure there was just a big section of Bloodline fans and then anti-Bloodline fans in this crowd tonight, which ended up being really cool between this match and the tag title match. Sheamus out now, definitely more cheers than usual. This crowd's just crazy. It's definitely like a Chicago or a Canada crowd, like how they usually treat people. Drew now out, big cheers. I couldn't figure out. Let me know in the comment section who got the bigger cheers throughout this match. Was it Riddle or was it Drew McIntyre? Or do you think it was someone else? But I think it was between those two, but I couldn't quite figure out. I think, I don't want to sway the vote, but I think Riddle was getting the bigger cheers. But what do you guys think? Because that's important. WWE takes note of that because then they'll think, oh, maybe that's the guy we should have beat Roman, like, because we already know that Drew McIntyre is probably going to get the match at Clash at the Castle in Wales. And I'm sure Riddle can probably get another title. Oh God, they already made. Oh no, they made that stipulation where Riddle can't ever challenge Roman again. Oh no, what if Roman keeps the title for like 2 years? Oh no. Anyway, I didn't think of that until right now. But yeah, Drew comes out the big cheers. Let me know who you thought got the bigger cheers. And I wonder who the crowd wants to win this match. I never really got my answer. That's why I'm asking you guys. But they clearly wanted Becky to win the first one, but then they were fine with Liv winning, and then they cheered huge when Liv cashed in. So, um, although they almost cheer for anybody on a cash in, even if it's something they hate, like the Miz. It's just a cash in makes people cheer. Anyway, Omos is standing in the ring alone, but Drew's the one that walks in with them. And then here we go. This kind of telegraphed the end for me too. I don't know if it did for you, but Adam Pearce comes out and he says there's going to be one more entrance in this match. Theory's music hits. Now remember what I said earlier in the review? Theory was getting some of the biggest boos of the night, and wow, here we go. Let's see, because remember I was thinking, okay, well now I kind of wanted to see Theory beat Lashley just for the boos, but oh wow, could we get even bigger boos from the crowd if he wins in the main event that he wasn't even scheduled to be in? So stay tuned for that. I'm pretty sure everyone watching right now like knows what happened, but I said I'd be spoiler free, but you can kind of already tell who won by my reaction here. Anyway, the crowd is pissed. They they don't want Theory to break their heart, and then anyway, Pat McAfee goes, well, what about Zeke? Why is it Theory? So really putting over Ezekiel, Pat McAfee. That was funny. The bell rings, and Sheamus and Drew immediately go after Omos. So here we go. Strap yourselves in. Let's see how this match goes. So now that we've all gone through the shock of what happened, we can kind of see, was this a good match or not while I describe it. So I can't even quite remember. So a lot of it had to do with Omos being a giant and then everyone having to take out Omos. So of course Omos starts out strong. Sheamus and Drew just get swatted away, and then Omos slams about 4 or 5 others in a row. Omos goes to get the ladder already, but Seth crashes a ladder into Theory. So, and Omos maybe, I don't know, but I think Seth is just killing everyone with the ladder. Sheamus and Drew get it, and the crowd is a little bit deflated now. Maybe it was Omos. I think it was Omos that was doing that, right? So they're just like, no, not Omos. Riddle and Madcap then eat the ladder as well. Omos throws the ladder in the ring with ease. So yeah, it was Omos that was just destroying everybody, and the crowd's mad already. So Pat's going crazy for Omos at this point. Sheamus then stops Omos from setting up the ladder, and Omos takes him and 2 more people out until Riddle comes in and locks a guillotine on Omos. But of course, Omos just slams Riddle right off. Now Madcap tries and fails. Drew in now and hits a claymore to Omos, who was looking the other way and then turned right into it. That was timed really well. So Drew's now setting up the ladder. He goes to climb it, but Sheamus stops Drew. Drew then stops Sheamus, and then they fight for a little while with a really good fist fight. While they're having their fist fight, Theory's trying to sneak up the ladder. Sheamus and Drew realize they stop fighting and just stare at Theory. Then they double team Theory and take turns hitting the beats of the Baldwin. I think Pat said it went all the way up to 15 in a row, like back and forth. That was pretty cool. But Theory then collapses to the outside. Seth now has another ladder in the ring and hits Sheamus and Drew with it. Riddle hits Seth, but then Seth rakes the eyes and throws Riddle right into the ladder. Seth closes the ladder and is looking to pedigree Riddle right on top of it, which would hurt Seth's knees more than anything. But Seth reverses that, and Seth gets back body dropped right onto the ladder. And then a Broton is sent on by Riddle right on the not Sami, but Seth. But then Sami throws a giant ladder into the Sami throws Riddle out and climbs the ladder. Then Madcap stops Sami from climbing, and the ladder falls. Sami throws a giant ladder onto the back of Moss, and Moss hits a running shoulder tackle on the Sami in the corner. Sami's then thrown big time into like a leaning ladder. That was a good spot. Moss sets the ladder up, starts to climb, but Riddle's in, and so is Omos. So Omos finally back up, and Omos takes out Madcap, and then Riddle. Theory's trying to go up, but he gets caught with a choke slam by Omos. The ladder looks like it's struggling under Omos's weight when Omos climbs it now. And then everyone's in to take out Omos again. So they throw Omos on the outside and cover him with ladders. And we see this. Haven't we seen that spot with Big Show like 20 times already? So it's not like that's like anything new or refreshing. But right after they do that, Sheamus, of course, is the first one to turn on the group that was just working together to take out Omos. Seth is in the ring climbing the ladder, but Sami meets Seth up there. Sheamus now has his own ladder in the ring. Theory goes on the other side of Sheamus's ladder. Now 4 people are near the briefcase. Rollins and Sami crash to the ground. Theory knocks off Sheamus and Big Boots. Or no, maybe I don't know. Oh, Theory knocks off Sheamus. So Theory is so hated that he makes Sheamus get cheered. That's crazy. Madcap then stops Theory and hits a fallaway slam. So one of the best moves there from Madcap. Madcap's now climbing, but Sami stops him. And Sami touches the briefcase, but Madcap hits a power bomb right into a ladder, and Sami hit head first, back of the head first. It looked nasty. That was one of the biggest bumps of this men's match. Madcap and Drew now climb the ladder, and they exchange punches while up there. Madcap gets knocked off, but Sheamus stops Drew and hits him with the white noise. So now Riddle kicks Sheamus, but Sheamus hits the Irish Curtis backbreaker and yells "fella" really loud, which is always a crowd favorite. Sheamus then punches Riddle more. The ladder's in the corner now. Like he sets it up in the corner. Riddle hits a draping DDT off of that ladder that's set up. Like it's not in the middle, it's in the corner. But that's not the end of that ladder being in the corner. So Drew eats a Riddle knee. Madcap eats a Riddle foot. Power slam the Drew by Riddle. And then they try to throw Riddle into the ladder, but Riddle just leaps right up and quickly climbs. It's a really tall ladder and hits one of the most beautiful flying bros I've ever seen right onto Madcap, Sheamus, Theory, and Drew. So one of the best spots of the match there as well. Awesome stuff. Omos is back up now. He's throwing people out one by one until it's just Riddle in the ring. But then I see Sheamus on the apron as well. Riddle tries to put a sleeper hold on Omos, but again, just gets right slammed to the ground, just like the guillotine earlier. Omos tosses Riddle to the ground, like I said. Theory then tries to sneak up the ladder, but Omos choke bombs him. That's Omos's finisher. Theory straight from the ladder to the mat. Then Omos gets hit with a bro kick, immediately hit by a haluva kick. Then Riddle puts a triangle choke on Omos. That knocks Omos out of the ring. Then Drew hits a Glasgow kiss on Omos. Seth stomps Omos into the apron. They start clearing the apron, and wow, I forgot all about this. I forgot about this until right now. This was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I've been watching wrestling for 30 years, and yeah, I've seen. Oh, hey, what's up, bro? And one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's like I've seen like flaming tables and all that kind of stuff, but just the sight of 6 men picking up 7 foot, 300 and some pound, maybe 400-pound Omos and chucking him like he was just a sack of potatoes, almost overshooting the announce table and sending the announce table crashing in upon itself. That looked amazing. It was basically a 6-man razor's edge to a 7-foot giant where they almost missed the table. They threw them so hard because you have people like Drew and Sheamus and Madcap Moss as part of that, and then I think Seth was the one directing them, like push them up now and now throw them. So, great spot. That was. I need to go watch that one again. Just Omos went flying through the air with like extreme. Like, how many times do you ever see a giant like thrown through the air with extreme force? That was awesome. I want to see that again. Like, and like not the replay, but like done again tomorrow on Raw or something. Um, Something happens. So I must have missed something here, but right after that, like something took like almost everybody out, and then we get like nothing but Sheamus and Drew in the ring for a long time right after they take out Omos. So if you could help me out, let me know like what the heck made everybody lay down on the ground for like 2, 3, 4 minutes while Drew and stuff. Yeah, oh Sam, I wanted Sammy to win too, man. But yeah, I don't know what I missed, but yeah, we get this giant Drew versus Sheamus section now that they took out Omos, and Drew eats a different ladder that Sheamus throws right after Sami eats the ladder. So Sami was sneaking up the ladder, but Drew stopped him. So Sami, I know what's happened to Sami. What the heck happened to everybody else? But Sami eats that ladder. Now Drew eats the ladder that was thrown by Sheamus. Sheamus places that smaller ladder on the ropes in the corner. That will definitely be used later. But that spot didn't look very good, so I don't know why they did it. But anyway, Drew reverses Sheamus and hits the Future Shock DDT. Drew then places a ladder over Sheamus's chest and then climbs up the other side. But Butch, of all people, I did not expect to see Butch tonight, but yes, Butch runs down, climbs on Drew's back, but Drew just ignores it and climbs up the ladder anyway. He was halfway up. Now he's like near the top, but Butch had also put in a chokehold. So Drew slowly drops to the ground because he could feel that he was about to fall. So as soon as Drew gets to the ground, he eats a bro kick right to the face. And now Drew's pinned his chest under the ladder, and Sheamus is going up the other side. But Drew is able to bench press, and it didn't look very good, but it was all right. He bench presses the ladder up and knocks Sheamus off, and then hits a Claymore on Butch, and that was the last we saw of Butch tonight. But again, I was surprised to see him to begin with. And this is when I know what the heck happened to everybody else after they knocked Omos through the table. Oh, here's another message. So they let him catch on Ramen Brock, and I've officially done. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I could see Theory holding on to that for a while because they don't want that to happen and make like everybody stop watching kind of thing. So you're not wrong in saying something like that. So I don't know what they're gonna do. And yes, that kind of spoils the ending if you didn't know. But we're almost to the end now, and it starts getting a little bit crazy here. So I think I left off on the Claymore on Butch, and I don't know why everyone else was missing for like 3-4 minutes. Sheamus and Drew now both climb the ladder, but Sami throws them down onto that ladder that was propped on the corner, but it didn't look very good. Sami climbs the ladder, but Madcap Moss comes and throws him off. Madcap touches the briefcase, but gets thrown hard into the ropes by Seth, and then Seth hits a stomp on Madcap. Now Seth's climbing, but Riddle has the biggest ladder we've seen of the night, and he places it next to Seth's ladder and starts climbing up. But Seth immediately pushes Riddle off. I'm like, oh wow, is Seth about to win? Seth reaches up, but Riddle gets right back up on his giant ladder and hits a great looking great looking might be exaggerated. A good looking RKO on Seth off of the ladder to the mat. And Riddle lands completely on his shoulder, so hopefully his shoulder's okay. But he looked all right. Riddle gets up and climbs the ladder, but here comes Theory on the other side, and Riddle almost had the briefcase, but Theory stops him. They trade slaps and a couple punches. Theory pushes Riddle off, and yep, it just unhooks the briefcase and wins. So I feel like there was somebody within all this that we never saw since the Omos beatdown, other than Omos. So I don't like the ending of this match per se. It was a little awkward. Like, did we really need Butch to come out? And then, of course, nobody went home happy with Theory winning, and I guess that's what they wanted. But that does beg the question, like Mark was saying, like if they if they cash it on Roman or Brock, so many people are going to be so mad. So I don't think that's being good for business. And maybe this answers my question about where did everyone went. So Riddle flew off the top of the ladder and landed on everyone. That's okay. So maybe I just kind of missed that or overlooked it. But I'm like, why is Sheamus and Drew in the ring for like 4 minutes without anybody else coming in? But yep, that was the end of the match. Theory wins. The crowd boos him heavily. I even hear whistles and jeers, which you barely hear at wrestling events anymore, but they're out there doing that whistle that you do when you really hate something, and they're like jeering and effing and jeffing and cussing. That's some real heel heat. So I don't know where they're gonna go with that. So here's Theory's night. He loses the U.S. title to Lashley. Lashley's a big superhero. Everybody loves Lashley. He's got the only singles male title on Raw now. But then here's Theory. He comes back out later in the night, gets the biggest boos of the night, other than maybe Carmella got some huge boos after she beat down Bianca, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Anyway, like, where do they go with this? Is Theory really going to cash in at SummerSlam, or is he's not the type that he's only going to do it nefarious means by like I mean, you could say that Liv cashed in by nefarious means tonight. It doesn't make you a heel per se, but a heel like Theory is definitely going to do it. So we'll just have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Theory walks out at SummerSlam with the title, but also maybe they do something where like Theory cashes in at the end of the Last Man Standing, but then John Cena comes out of nowhere and wins his 17th title in an unannounced match. I don't know if they would do something like that, but maybe Theory cashes in on like, or just a failed cash in, like you're saying, which I could see too. I was surprised that Theory, I was surprised they didn't just kill Theory in like 3 minutes tonight with Lashley, because I'm still, as much as they seem like, oh yeah, he's Mr. McMahon's boy, they still also have a tendency to make him look silly. So I have no idea where they're gonna go with that. Looking at the other briefcase, already cashed in. So what do we do with Liv now? Like I said, she's got maybe Charlotte coming back. Um, Bailey might return and go to SmackDown. Maybe Lacey Evans could be turned heel at any given moment, and that could be a battle for Liv. And we don't know if Ronda's just going to want a rematch right away, or if she's going to be gone with a knee injury for a little bit. So we'll have to see what they do. Maybe a multi-women match at SummerSlam. We've also got Raquel. Raquel could turn heel at any point. She's a good heel. So putting Liv on Raw is definitely a good thing. I think Liv might have got lost in the Raw shuffle a little bit by having Bianca, Rhea, Asuka, and um Becky kind of in the ahead of her on the pecking order. Where SmackDown, it was a little more leeway, especially now that unfortunately Sasha and Naomi are gone. So I could see Liv having a pretty good lengthy run here, or I could see them just taking the belt off her at SummerSlam. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. I have no idea what they're going to do with Riddle. That should be pretty interesting. And it kind of sounded like Cena was not going to be at SummerSlam. Like from what I got on Raw, it sounded like, yeah, I'm coming back, but I'm not coming back in 4 weeks, kind of deal. Like, did you guys kind of get that feeling too from Cena, where he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have more than one match, don't worry." But it sounded like it's not going to be in 4 weeks. Otherwise, he would have mentioned it a little bit more. But maybe we'll see Cena on Raw or SmackDown in the next coming weeks, setting up something with Theory. Maybe it will be Theory versus Cena at SummerSlam, and then he could still cash in later. Maybe fail, maybe succeed, or maybe it's like I said, maybe he succeeds on the cash in, and then all of a sudden John Cena wins his 17th world title in the same month. We've seen Hulk Hogan do it at WrestleMania 9, where Bret Hart lost the title to Yokozuna, and Yokozuna immediately lost the title to Hulk Hogan. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. The same man that made that decision is the same man that makes the decisions now, Vince McMahon. And you never know what's going through his head, especially with all the news and stuff he's got going through his head now. So we'll see. But I will say that Theory is a lot bigger than I thought. Remember, all these people and all these podcasts are saying, "Oh yeah, Theory reminds me of young John Cena. Theory reminds me of young John." I didn't really see it, but then when we saw them standing face to face on Raw, Theory might even be like an inch taller than Cena, and has like just as big a biceps. So I know Cena's like a little bit smaller than he was in the peak of his wrestling career. Now that he's more Hollywood, but um I think WWE saw that too, and maybe that's when they decided they wanted to give Theory the briefcase. I mean, maybe they decided a month ago, but maybe they saw Theory stand next to John Cena, and they're like, "Oh, you're even bigger than Cena size wise." So, like I said, the same man's making all the decisions. He likes big, muscly guys. You know that. We'll just have to wait and see. But what we do have on Raw, what I really want to see on Raw, instead of a stupid Theory celebration to open Raw, I want to see Lashley in a $10,000 suit, couple women on the arm, no MVP in sight, just Lashley coming out with the U.S. title and treating the U.S. title like it's a big deal. Now, I'm not going to hold my breath because I don't think we're going to get any of that. But that's what I want to see Raw start out, and the crowd's going to go crazy, and maybe then you can have Riddle come out and be like, yeah, 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 you beat me for the US title, but look what I got. And then he holds up the briefcase. So maybe that's how we start Raw. You could start Raw with Liv. Maybe Liv will be on Raw to be like her farewell. Thank you, Raw. I'll see you again soon as I'm off the SmackDown. Maybe something like that as well could start off Raw. It'll be interesting where Becky goes. Becky's about to go like pure psycho mode. I told you earlier in the review, what I want Becky to do on Raw tomorrow is go on the hunt. I want Raw to kind of start out, oh, there's been an attack. Oh, Carmella's been taken out. And then they're like, oh, Queen Zelina's been taken out. And then a little bit later, like one after one, somebody else gets taken out. And then they're later on, and maybe it's like Alexa versus Bianca, and then they get attacked by Becky with a chair. And I'm like, oh, that must be who's taking out everybody. And Becky's just completely snapped. Maybe she's wearing like the exact same clothes as she wore tonight, and her hair's all disheveled. She's kind of done that before, but she hasn't done the whole like, I'm gonna just destroy everyone with weapons and stuff. So maybe that's where we go. And then Bianca's like, oh hell no, like don't do all this, like fine, you can have a title shot at SummerSlam. Just stop the madness or whatever. So maybe that's where we go with the Raw Women's title. Like that, maybe that's how I would write it anyway. But again, we've got the Rhea Ripley match versus Bianca in the back pocket at any point. Hopefully we get some more cool stuff with Judgment Day. Everything about Judgment Day has kind of been a failure so far. It's not dead in the water, but it's getting there. Now they want Dominic to join. But oh my God. So I forgot what I really wanted on Raw tomorrow. Tomorrow's Raw is in San Diego, California, hometown of Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Now everybody just assumes that Dominic's potentially at some point before Ray's career is over, they think Dominic's going to turn heel, and this might be the perfect time to do it in their hometown and have Dominic join the Judgment Day and beat down Ray and leave him like in a bloody mess or something. But here's what I want. Rey Mysterio has never played a heel in his entire career. Now just imagine if it's Rey Mysterio joining the Judgment Day, leaving his own son in a bloody mess in his hometown of San Diego not tomorrow night, but Monday night on 4th of July. Can you imagine? I don't think it's going to happen, but oh my gosh. Imagine if we get Becky going on a rampage, we get Bobby Lashley in a $10,000 suit, and we get Rey Mysterio turning heel on his own son in his hometown. If only one of those things happen, I'll be happy. But imagine if multiple happen. So I mean, that's how I would book Raw. But they probably know a little bit more how to. I might only appease like 20% of the fans, where they're trying to appease at least half the fans. Like you can never appease everybody, but you got to try and get as close to half as possible. But really, really good stuff. I appreciate you guys turning out tonight. I do tons of reviews. I do AEW, Impact, NJPW, MLW, NWA, and I might even add Stardom if I can find some more time. So throw me a subscribe, throw me a thumbs up. I'm trying to get my name out there. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to get going. Enjoy your weekend if you're not in America, and still enjoy it. But here in America, it is the 4th of July weekend. I'm not really celebrating it too much because I don't want to get into that, but I will be back on Monday night for the review on Raw. Hopefully we get a couple of those things I mentioned, but if not, hopefully something good happens. And thanks for all the comments too. That always helps the show keep going. So I'm gonna get going. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a great night. Peace.